But if we are going to commit to the spiritual life and changing the world through spirituality, it can't but bleed into politics. It's going to 100, like you said, did you read my fucking book? Compassion, kindness, love, tolerance, forgiveness, communication, vulnerability. These are spiritual principles that if our political life bears no relationship to those things, then what is politics?
Today, I think it's transactional economy is what I think politics is. I think it is actually void of spirituality. And I think that's the crisis we find ourselves in. I think the crisis we find ourselves in, the polarity, the ideological bunkers, I actually think it's a spiritual crisis.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, I was curious about what you said. Do you think that we can't have government in the West without Christianity, or do you think Christianity underpins, like, is it just Western? Are we just talking
spiritual principles? To be honest, I didn't even mean Christianity. I'm saying that they can't be divorced. And when they are, as you have just said, there is a danger. There is a real risk because it doesn't relate to us as human beings. I thought it was curious that when Theresa May resigned, that she sort of wept, and suddenly we saw her humanity. And for me, I read into that. Wow, she couldn't be who she was while she did that job.
No,
her job did not permit her. But why wouldn't it be good if we had a kind of politics? And I would say that the structural changes go way beyond this, but that we're human beings were able to be human while in those roles. Like, yeah, I fucked that up. I'm really, really sorry. I don't know how to do that. I don't. Brexit's complicated. I'm confused. What do you think? You know what I mean? It's the discourse is extracted from humanity, from humanitarianism. It becomes a bureaucratic language. It can't interface with who we actually are.
I'm having such an aha moment as I'm sitting here. Like, I don't think.
I hope you mean realization rather than the Danish pop group.
Oh my God, take me, like that one, exactly. Where the videos and like
cartoon
sketch
drawing.
Yeah.
Sorry for that really silly joke when you're on the edge of epiphany. I'm not going to talk for a while.
I think that's a God moment because I really loved that video. I really loved it because the girl had short hair.
Right.
Yeah, and I wanted short hair. I did. Here's my aha moment. Can any system thrive and work when it's devoid of spirituality, when systems only exist to serve people who are inherently spiritual beings?
You have to tell me that again. I got caught up in just looking at your eyes.
He's so cute, y'all. We're making
because you mentioned the hair.
Yeah,
and
no.
I started to think of you physically. I apologise for that.
Okay. Can any system that has divorced itself from spirituality work if all systems are designed to serve people who are inherently spiritual beings?
They're definitely not, because they're excluding vital and necessary aspects.
But the core, they're excluding the core of who we are.
And that's my point about Theresa May. It's not like I'm not being like flippant about her like crying because she's losing her job. I'm sure there's all sorts of personal reasons, but I just thought it's a good indicator that we've created systems where people can't be human or spiritual, that it's a form of objectification. We objectify.
No, we totally objectify. It is, and it's dehumanization, which I think is the most dangerous thing we're facing right now, is rampant dehumanization.
Yeah.
Which, dehumanization starts with language and has been at the forefront of every genocide in history.
Yes.
And we see that now. We see it with the way Trump talks about immigrants, those animals, this is so helpful for me personally. I hope it's over for somebody else, but really it's enough for me. It's helpful for me right now because it really is, how do you create systems that are divorced from spirituality when systems serve humans who are inherently spiritual? That's what's wrong with, that's the work I do with leaders. Like, we completely dehumanized work. It's like, we talk about people as capital.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, that's why stories matter so much.
Well, when you go and do these gigs, such as you will do today, and must take up a look at your calendar, and like I'm certainly not judging that. I would like, it's the sort of thing I'd be very interested in doing myself. How, like, I think you talk again in your show about like saying, look, I can't just come in and tell people to be a bit vulnerable. You know, like once the genie's out of the bottle, we're in a different territory. Well, in a sense, Brené, the road that you're already on is one that ends with people saying you can't have these kind of brutalizing economic systems that regard everything as a commodity, that regard the earth as a commodity, the human beings as a commodity. So in the end, like, you know, you follow these chains up high enough, who's running these Silicon Valley companies, these big media companies, whoever, it leads to people who are fundamentally obligated to provide profit, sometimes at all costs. And those at all costs includes, you know, like little kids in the Congo mining for shit that's just part of our everyday life.
But I mean, but the people that you're talking about, those CEOs, are the people I work with all the time.
And I bet they're lovely.
Some.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't.
And they're humans, so they are.
But what they are is they're human, and they are as desperate for everything we're talking about now: love, oneness, kindness, as we are.
Thanks for watching this podcast and going all the way to the end of it. Would you just kind of to click the bell? It might not be there, because over there, and subscribing so that we can infiltrate your serenity and peace of mind with jangling bells and buzzes. Thank you.